So the other day I was logged into YouTube and I was reminded that I'm currently paying $22.99 every single month for YouTube Premium. But a friend of mine said, well, why am I only paying $16.99? And they're also in Australia. So I logged in into a private browsing session. Then I did realize that actually YouTube Premium is quite a bit less expensive than it once was. And then I had another friend reach out and say, actually, well, I'm paying a different price again, but I'm in a different country. And it sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole around how YouTube Premium can cost different prices in different countries. So being a data science and Python tutorial channel, I thought, why not build a tutorial on how I went about figuring out the price of YouTube Premium from different parts of the world. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to load up our Jupyter Notebook. I've got heaps of videos and tutorials on how to do that. If you need help, drop a comment. Always happy to make a response video. But to get us started, what I did was I used Selenium. Now, Selenium is one of my favorite browser automation packages for Python, along with a couple of other parts of Selenium I needed to import, which I'll explain in a bit more detail on what they're doing in just a moment. And then I imported Beautiful Soup because I still love Beautiful Soup as a means to be able to dissect HTML and get values out of web pages. So to get started, what I did was I loaded up my options. This will make sense in just a moment. And then with my options, what I did was I created a driver. Now, you'll notice here that the driver is talking about the options. I haven't got any options set. We're about to set some options in a moment where we'll set a proxy address, which will allow us to route our traffic through a different IP address in a different country. And I'll give you a bit more details on that in a moment. But driver, webdriver.chrome, service equals service. This is a fairly new feature which allows us to just let Selenium figure everything out as far as Chrome drivers are concerned and just make it work. So if I hit Shift Enter on that, what's going to happen is it is going to literally pop up a web browser. I haven't told it to go to any web pages, but I now have an automated session for my Chrome browser, which is pretty cool. And then with that, what I can do is I can actually just navigate to the YouTube Premium pricing page. So driver.get, it's going to now automatically use the same browser session that just popped up. And there we have it. So $16.99 AU as expected. Now, how do I change which country I'm in? And that's when I tell you about today's sponsor. So I'm going to be using Smart Proxy. Smart Proxy is a proxy service, very easy to use, and I'm going to show you how to do that now, which allows you to route traffic through different IP addresses, useful for a number of different applications. For this particular one, it came in real handy because it allowed me to be able to just very easily change which country I was navigating from, which was very helpful. They have over 50, I think it's 55 million proxies, ethically sourced proxies from around the world. And they have kindly sponsored this part of this tutorial, which is really nice of them. Now, there's a link down below, which they've set up that allows you to get a free trial. I've opted not to receive any affiliate payments for that. It's just to help them know that you came from me. In return, they've loaded up my Smart Proxy wallet with a couple of dollars that allows me to keep playing and learning about how to use proxies. So let's get into it. So on the left-hand side here, there's a whole bunch of different proxies available. Today we'll be using the residential proxies, and there's a whole bunch of locations. And so you can literally just select a location and off we go. So why don't we start by selecting a location? So why don't we start with the United States, USA, there we go. I'm gonna scroll down and I'm gonna select proxies from the United States. Now this does have the option for a username and password, but because I'm using Selenium and I don't want to have to be typing in that username and password, I've actually opted to whitelist my IP address. Now I'm going to blur that out because you don't need to know my IP address, but by doing that, it just means that the proxy works seamlessly. I love it. Okay, so all I've done there is I've copied and I'm about to paste our proxy. So why don't we do that maybe here? We'll call it proxy, and that's going to be equal to this proxy address. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is we need to add that to our options. So let me give you that little bit of code. That will look like this, which is, I haven't memorized it, but it's options, which we defined up here, which comes from this options import. And it is options -- proxy - server. And we're passing in our proxy. Now this is an F string sort of string, which basically means anything that's in here, so if I add some weird text there, it'll just automatically append. And this will become useful when we start to loop through a couple of different proxies from around the world, because it'll automatically show us the different prices. Cool. So shift enter on that. What I'm also going to do is I'm also going to do a driver, and I'm going to do a .close. So that will close the current session I've got open. And now we're going to run this one more time. So just a moment ago, you saw it pop up and it showed us the Australian pricing. Now we're going to go shift enter, shift enter, shift enter, shift enter, shift enter. Shouldn't have done that last one. That's that's the closing one. Hopefully it didn't run. And wow, that was easy. Okay, cool. So a couple of things have happened. We've gone to the exact same website, but what is different is it's now showing us $13.99 per month USD, right? So rather than getting that $16.99 Australian, we're now getting $13.99 USD. So let's keep going down this path and let's test a few more. Now, one thing we probably want to do is extract out that $13.99. A few different ways to do it. I'm probably going to go ahead and just go inspect element. And what I'm looking for is where do we find something that sort of best describes this one here. So I'm looking for some sort of class. So we scroll up a little bit, probably this one here, but there might be a few elements that use these classes. And so we might need to include some smarts to find them all and then find the one that maybe says 1 month free trial. And that way we know it's the one that has the price in it. Another way could be just to search the text for a $ or use some smart sort of regular expression. That's another way we could do it, but let's do it this way. It feels the cleanest. So to do that, all we're going to do is we're going to say driver.page_source, and that's going to give us the entire HTML page. We've already imported beautiful soup. So what we're going to do is we're going to say something like soup is equal to beautiful soup. Okay. And we're going to pass in, where are we? Beautiful soup. We're going to pass in that page source, and now we've got access to soup. Now I'm going to make sure I've got this element copied, and let's just copy the element, and that element looks like that's not the element, Adam. Okay, try that again. Copy that one, and we'll call it element is equal to, and what we'll do is just make our code a little bit simpler to read and probably easier to update in case I've got the wrong element here. We'll say something like soup.find, where are we? Find all. We're going to find all the elements on this page. Okay. That is a div, and it is from memory, it is a class. Okay. So what we're going to do is that looks like this. So we'll pass this in here and we'll say this is a div. That's the element, and the class is equal to this one here. We're going to find all of them, and we're going to shift enter on that one. Oops, my bad. Shift enter on that, and we found none. Okay, what did I do wrong? Let's have a quick look. Oh, it wasn't a div, it was a span. So let's get that corrected. It was a span, and there is a lot of them. So let's see if we can narrow this down a little bit. I reckon maybe the one above, and that definitely is a div. So let's try that. So we'll go div, and we'll hit shift enter on that one. Okay, a little bit less to choose from. And what we can say is for item in that list, we can print out the item. Okay, pop the brakes on, print out the first item. This one looks like the one just above the one we want. So what we might do is we might say, okay, if what was that text? Okay, so if I've lost my page. Where are we? Why don't we grab this one? Okay. Working under pressure here. Grab this one. I think it's probably the second element or the first sort of index. Yeah, so if this contains 1 month free trial for, I reckon that's probably the one we want. So we can say 1 month free trial. If that's in the item, then let's put the brakes on, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, give me a quick look at that item, make sure I've got the right one. That's actually looking really good. And I can say something like .text. And this is perfect. Now we have that dollar amount in there. So a couple of options. We can probably split by something like this weird thing here. So we can probably say something like split by this. And then we've got 2 items. We can pick the second item, so item 1. And then we can probably split by this funky one here, okay? And then I can pick the first item. And all of a sudden, we now have, including the country code, the dollar value. So what we can do is we can assign that to something called price. And all of a sudden, when I call upon price, I now get the price. Or do I? What did I do wrong? Shift enter, shift enter. Price is equal to, ooh, what did I break? Price is not defined. Price and shift enter and shift enter. Interesting. What does item tell us? Item, should be working. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't put the brakes on. So if I put the brakes on after we find price, I now, okay, should find, price is not defined. If 1 month free trial is in item, what have I done wrong? Oh, I see what's happened. I'm looking at item, and you know what? Item is not item.text. So all we need to do is make sure we have that set to item.text, which is the actual text that's been found, which is good. Okay, shift enter on that. And now when we check for price, there we have it. We've got the price. Okay, great. So why don't we now go ahead and as a final step, well, let's not do that just yet. Let's make sure we're comfortable with this. So we're going through the steps, we're setting the proxy, we're running the driver, we're getting the web page. We probably want to wait for it to load, and then we're going to go ahead and get that price. So why don't we jump back into Smart Proxy, and why don't we select a few countries? I've actually got a list I have been testing with. So let's go ahead and grab that proxy list, which is this one here. Okay, so we've got the Netherlands, USA, Turkey, New Zealand, and Great Britain, which is these ones here. And what we'll do is we're literally just going to loop through each of these to see if we can get the price of YouTube Premium for each of these countries. So to do that, I'm literally just going to say for proxy in proxy list, which is this one here. And just for testing, we'll print out the proxy, and there we have it. And I probably want to store the country code and the price. Now we might want to run this again later, and maybe I want to store the whole proxy. So let's make it really easy for ourselves. Let's call something like outputs is equal to an empty list, which is this one here. And then why don't we say something like outputs.append, and we're going to append a dictionary. So curly braces, and we're going to say the proxy we used, which is equal to proxy, and we're going to say the price, okay, is equal to price. Now you'll notice that we haven't got price defined in here, so this will not work. We need to then fill in the gaps. So why don't we go ahead within our loop, we're going to go ahead and set that option for the argument, which tells the browser which proxy to use. Then we're going to go ahead and trigger the browser to pop open. We are then going to navigate to, where are we? YouTube Premium, which is awesome. We're going to go ahead and we're going to, once that's all loaded, then we're going to go ahead and get the page source. What I might do, because this isn't a fully automated process, I'm going to add a user delay. That's just a variable name, but I'm actually just going to call a built-in function called input, which will just ask me the question, ready to continue. Okay, so this is when you want to automate something end to end, but while you're in testing, you might want to have a delay where you as the user can hit the enter button and then have it continue. So this is really useful for testing. So we're going to leave that in, and then maybe later we'll do some stuff around automating that. Now, where are we? So we're going to do the beautiful soup thing. We are going to go ahead and figure out where the price is. And then finally, we are going to, where are we? Append the price, which is awesome. And that's kind of everything. And then I think the final thing we want to do is, probably close out that browser window, so we don't have heaps of browser windows popping up. If that all goes to plan, what should happen if I hit shift enter on that, it should pop the browser, which is what's happening right now, which is really cool. Gives me the consent, so let's accept all. Give that a moment to finish loading. There it is, 13.99 euros. Now here's that human delay that we added, which is really cool. User delay. I'm going to hit enter on that, and then it's going to continue. It's going to save that price. It's closed the browser window, and it's popped the next browser window, which is really cool. It's navigated to the premium website. We have the USD price, which is great. And now that we've got that, that's all loaded. I could see it on the screen. So enter on that. That's now going to, same sort of thing. Kill the browser window, then keep going through. I'm going to fast forward this bit because you don't need to hear me explain it every single time, but this will just keep going through and through and through. There it goes again, and cue the fast forward. Okay, there we have it. So that's gone through all 5 of those different proxies, and what we have as a result is we now have this outputs. So if I hit Shift enter on outputs. We now have this really nice list of dictionaries which tell us which proxy we went through. So Netherlands, USA, Turkey, New Zealand, and Great Britain. And we've got the different prices for each. Now, whole heap of stuff we can do next is we can clean up these numbers. We can send it off to an automatic price conversion. All of that stuff is fairly bread and butter. I really just wanted to show you how awesome it was to be able to automatically route our traffic through different countries. And one thing I will point out, which is really interesting, is if we have a look at the price in Turkey compared to USD. Okay, so let's bring that one up. You can actually see that the price of YouTube Premium is $2.27 in Turkey, which might make complete sense, but it is interesting nonetheless to see how pricing does vary from place to place. And that's really it. Thank you so much for watching. My new party trick is using these proxies to be able to see what a website tells people from different countries, which is becoming more and more useful when we are seeing dynamic pricing across different parts of the world. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And make sure you check out your free trial in the link in the description.